Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I am joined now with Joseph Parker. Joseph, do you like to be called Joe or Joseph? Because I think I call you both.
I don't mind. I mean, I answer to both. Joe, Joseph, maybe, listen, Bob, whatever you want, you can say.
All right, because you know some people, they're a little funny about things like that. So I was like, when we were texting, I was like, should I call him Joe or Joseph? Like, what's the proper way of doing this?
I know you're right. There's some people are funny, like they have to, you have to say their name right. Otherwise, they're like, right, but I'm fine with anything.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you. It's been a while since we last did an interview. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Here in New Zealand at the moment, I'm in full camp, leading into a fight end of February 27 with Junior Far. The good thing about New Zealand is that we're pretty blessed to be able to still move around, go to community things, have events, have people participating in events. And so we're pretty blessed here that, with the fight coming up, that we can have a big crowd.
Oh,
so
good.
I'm looking forward to fighting. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I mean, like how many fans are allowed to attend?
With the stadium that we're fighting at, I think there would be about 10,000.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. I mean, I haven't fought in New Zealand for a while, so it's going to be exciting to be fighting in front of friends and family and supporters, and hopefully Junior and myself come together to put on a great event, with the undercard as well.
Tell me what that's like for you. Do you find that it's easier for you to fight away from home, or more challenging to fight at home because of, usually there's the added pressure from the family and friends as well as the media. So which one would you say is like the easier?
I think easier would be fighting away from New Zealand. I mean, because in New Zealand, like you mentioned, there's the pressure of family and friends. Mm-hmm. There's, you have to, there's a long list of tickets that you have to give out to people. There's a lot more commitment to sponsors and, just a few appearances here and there. So fighting overseas is a bit more, I think, easier because you show up, you do your interviews and then you fight. Whereas here, there's a lot of things that sort of are involved.
Do you find that people, like you just get random text messages from people you haven't heard of forever? Do you find them hitting you up now that you're fighting at home?
Yeah, there's a lot of friends and family. There's a lot of people that I haven't heard from, and there's a lot of people that I hear from a lot. So, I mean, everyone just wants to go and watch a good fight. Yeah. And I guess I don't blame them. I mean, if I do have tickets, if I have enough, then I will give it out. But if I do run out, then sorry, guys.
Yeah. So there was a minor setback between you and Junior Fall. You were supposed to fight how many months ago? It was
December the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember it was just before the start of the new year. So there was a surgery that took place of some sort. Do we even know specifically what had happened to Junior Fall? I wasn't able to.
Yeah, I'm not sure on specifics of what he went through in terms of the surgery, but I know that he had some health issues that were, his health wasn't 100%, and he wasn't, training 100%. It means he wasn't sparring or feeling 100%. So they pulled out of the fight to get that sorted, but we're still not sure what it is. And then when they did that, I took the time to go and get my elbows done because I've had ongoing issues with bone chips and inflammation, and so I got that done during the Christmas period, which is now I'm feeling a lot better now.
Oh, good. So it was like a blessing in disguise, really.
I think it was. If it was, I was still going to fight with, feeling, all swollen and inflamed, and I was still going to fight and go ahead. But it was a blessing in disguise where, they pulled out of the fight and it gave me the chance to get it sorted.
Right. All right. Let's talk a bit about the history between the two of you, both from around the same area, right?
Yeah. Listen, I don't know where he lives, but I hear that he's probably 10, 15 minutes away from where I am. So we're pretty much in the same, similar, close neighborhood.
Who do you reckon is going to get the most cheers on fight night?
I would say I hope it's me, but there's going to be a big split because he has a lot of supporters here. I have a lot of supporters as well. So it's going to be a split. The crowd's going to be cheering a lot for him, a lot for me. It'll be good.
going to be interesting to see. So it must be exciting for you, first and foremost, to be able to sort of make the home return, especially during this time. I mean, again, talk about blessings in disguises. I would imagine that you would find yourself normally fighting overseas as opposed to being home and giving your home fight fans a good show. Tell me a bit about what you're expecting against your fight with Junior Fa, because he's coming out with some swinging words, you know.
Yeah. He's what do you call it? So I mean, if it wasn't for the lockdown and the pandemic and things causing flights and other countries to be on lockdown, I'm not sure this fight would have happened. You know, so it's one of those fights where, because we're both in New Zealand, we're both ranked in the top 10. And he's been calling me out for a long time. I guess this is the right time to do it now. He's been coming out and saying that he'll box my brains out, and then if he hurts me, he'll knock me out, this and that. It's all good to say that outside of the ring, but when you're in the ring, it's a different story. You know, he's getting a lot of confidence from the fights we had back in the amateur days. It's two apiece, where he's won 2 fights, I've won 2 fights, and I guess that's where a lot of his confidence is coming from. You know, just picturing what we did back in the days, but right now it's totally different.
Training back home, did you find it challenging to sort of find the right sort of sparring that you needed, given that you both are from the same area?
Oh yeah, I mean, Vegas is the place to spar and have training camp, because a lot of fighters come to train in Vegas, and a lot of coaches are there. One thing though that I'm pretty fortunate that is I found some good sparring partners here. I got a guy named David Naika, who's probably the best amateur on this side of the world. You know, I think he's qualified for the Olympics, and that's what his goal is. But he's having his first professional fight on our undercard. And then I'm sparring another guy named Maddie, who's another top amateur. But these guys just, you know, they give it everything. They come forward, they throw punches. They get tagged with a few, but they keep coming forward. So my work here is pretty good, and I'm pretty fortunate.
So Junior Fa has obviously made a statement into what we should anticipate or expect on fight night. What would you like to say?
About him?
About the fight? Yeah, about the fight. I mean, he's making a statement. He's basically saying that, you know, he's going to box you around. And do you see it going the distance?
I train for the distance. I train to be fit for 12 rounds. But my goal for this fight is to go in there and have fun. Because I know when I have fun and let my hands go, that I can do a lot of damage. And in the past, I have been a bit more cautious and, you know, winning a lot of fights on points, but that's not exciting. So I know what I can do when I throw my combinations, and I want to get him out of there. That's the goal.
Right. You ain't getting paid for overtime. Well, we know that this fight is the sort of the gateway to what can possibly come should you be successful on February 27th. We know that Derek Chisora has been mentioning your name. We know that fight was a fight that should have happened a while back. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But now we're seeing the landscape for what could possibly come to fruition should you get past Junior Fa. Now, what did you make? I'm going to read to you what he said, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've already heard it, but I don't like to butcher stuff. So I like to, he said about you, sorry, supposed to be right there.
I wonder what he said.
He just said, I signed the fight, flew to his camp in LA to film, only for him to chicken out and claim a spider bite was the reason he couldn't step in the ring with me. The truth is, when he sat across the table looking in my eyes, reality hit. He wasn't ready for the war that I bring.
Yeah, wow. That was excellent coming from him. That was good. The fight was, I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot that's been said with why I pulled out of the fight. And basically, it was the doctor's decision. My health wasn't at 100%, so the doctor pulled me out of the fight. But it was one of those fights where I wanted to postpone it because it was already locked in. And he spent a lot of money in training camp and sparring partners that he had to fight on that day. So even though I wanted to push it out, he wasn't willing to. And I guess now that I have Junior Fa in front of me, I have to take care of him first before I even look at Chisora. But that's a fight that I've always wanted for a while, and I know that he's coming off, you know, some wins and some losses, but it's always, I think it's a fight that was always going to be there.
Two other people that you've said that were sort of, what would be the word? Someone that you had your eyes set on would be, as well as Alexander Usyk and Joyce. Now we know that they're going to be facing each other for the interim title, for your former title. Tell me what you think about that fight. And I also want to know what you thought of Derek Chisora versus Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, I think just with the Derek Chisora and Usyk, that was a good fight. That was sort of like a a fight where we had to see how Usyk really, you know, faces against a proper heavyweight. And yes, with Chisora, his fitness was good. I know he got tagged a few times, but he was game, and he came in for war. But you know, Usyk just, you know, boxed real smart. I think with the fight with Usyk and Joyce, I mean, it's you got the fighter, or you got the boxer, then you got Joyce, who just came off a good win. You know, and he looked really good in his performance.
No one thought he was going to win.
So no one thought he was going to win, but he boxed really well. He used his jab, and he you know, and he sort of weathered the storm in the beginning, and then came back, and you know, with his experience, he was able to get the win.
Right.
So for me, it's an interesting fight, Usyk and Joyce. You know, it's two different styles.
Do you have someone that you would lean towards? Like you would favor it just a little bit over the other? Because I know, you know, obviously Alexander Usyk is, you know, in many cases, like he's just a superior boxer, isn't he? He just really has all the tools to dominate.
Yeah.
Except that once you get to the heavyweight scene, as everyone's saying, it's just that the guys just might be just a tad too big for him. So we saw that he wasn't able to stop Derek Chisora, which I think ultimately sort of set the tone for what a lot of critics had to say about his performance. They're like, well, look, if he couldn't knock him out, or if he couldn't do any damage, he's not going to stand a chance against the bigger boys, right? So then there's that argument. But then you look at Joyce, and then everyone wrote him off. Like I was even saying, I did like numerous polls that week. And absolutely, I want to say like it was like a 70-30 in terms of what people thought that Dubois was going to win. So again, we saw that, you know, Joyce was better than what people were giving him credit, you know, for, because Daniel Dubois was highly rated or highly ranked at that point amongst a lot of people. So when you take the two into consideration, is there anyone in particular that you would favorite more?
You know, when I look at it, I feel like because Usyk's got his boxing, you know, ability, and he can punch and move, and you know, and he caught Chisora a few times, I lean towards that way. But then you just can't count Joyce off, you know, with the performance that he put on, with the dedication that he has, and he's driven to be world champion. And it's just, you know, it's very interesting, these styles of fights.
I know, and then a lot of people want to go back to the World Series of Boxing, but that was a completely different time, you know what I mean? Like, both of them have gotten so much better over the years that it's really hard to say, like, that's what's going to, you know, it's going to be a 2.0 of that performance.
You can't really sort of go back to the amateur days or World Series Boxing and say, okay, this is how they were, okay, that's how they're going to be. A lot has changed since then. You know, both guys have improved dramatically. They've had a lot of fights and gained way more experience. So it's just a matter of who's going to probably implement the game plan more or catches someone clean.
Exactly. So if you had it your way, who would you of the three want to face next? Would you want it to be the winner of Usyk versus Joyce? I mean, we know that the winner becomes mandatory at that point to whomever becomes, you know, the undisputed champion.
I wouldn't mind. I just want to fight anyone who's in the way of getting back to being champion of the world. And if that's, I mean, if that's the winner of those guys, I'll take it in a heartbeat. I'll take it with both hands. If it's Chisora, I'll take it with both hands. But first, I mean, I can't really lose focus because there's one guy in front of me. And a lot of people are talking about, oh, what about this fight? What about this fight? But then if I don't get past Junior Fa, you know.
You know what? Us media, we're guilty of that, but we love a good matchup. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, yeah. What about this?
Listen, I can't wait to fight all those guys. But I have to put on a good performance and be dominant and show that I can be, you know, a sort of a person in the division that can cause a lot of upsets or trouble, or, you know what I mean? Get back to the top.
Yeah, I was just speaking with Spencer Fearon earlier today, and I asked him about the possible fight between you and Derek Chisora, and he you know, he's a friend of both of yours, but he definitely gave you the edge on that win.
I think maybe it's youth, or maybe it's speed or movement, but like I said, Chisora is one of those fighters who just comes for war. And every time he comes into fight, he throws so many punches, chases you down, wears you out. And he's come off some, I said, great wins and also a few losses, but he's still in there.
Well, we know that ultimately all roads lead to undisputed. Everyone's going to want a piece of whomever the winner is. Is there anyone in particular that you're either rooting for or that you believe has the edge over the other? I'm sorry, between Joshua and Fury?
And yeah, listen, both guys are great champions. I fought one guy and he got the better of me, and he became undisputed. But I sort of lean towards Fury more. And I think I've said that from the start. I like the way that he fights and moves. And we saw from his last fight that if he wants to fight you, he'll come forward and fight you. So I think he can fight going backwards, fight going forwards. But then again, we're not sure what Joshua does. So it's all very interesting because everyone has different opinions, and we think he's going to win, but ultimately when we come together, that's when we're going to find out what's going to happen.
What did you make of Joshua's performance against Cubrat Puliv?
I found that I think the old Joshua would have got him out of there faster. I mean, but I think he's in he's a lot more cautious now, not to, if you're going to hurt someone, what are they going to do? They're going to try to come back and hurt you. So he's a lot more cautious, but he did what he had to do to get him out of there. And he looked good doing it too.
It's interesting because I like to ask this question because do you feel that going in the fight, this is between Tyson and Joshua, do you feel that Tyson should come in as the way that he came in against Wilder in the first fight? Or do you think he should come in the way that he came in on the second fight? Because it's two completely different approaches.
Yeah. I think he should come in, if it was, me being part of the team and advising. I think the second one was a lot more, I don't know, just his aggression, the way that he chased him down. And, he said that he was going to do that, but no one believed him. And I guess he backed himself to put, Wilder on the back foot. But then again, we're not sure if Joshua's going to move like that or if he's going to come forward and they're going to clash. So it's one of those fights where please make it happen because everyone wants to see.
When a fighter experiences their first loss, like you mentioned the word cautious with Joshua, is it safe to say that that's the approach made once someone has experienced a loss? Like there's always an element of what if, the fear, sort of knowing what can happen if they fight a certain way or with a certain aggression. Like you're saying, a lot, I was impressed with Joshua's performance because number one, I thought his footwork has improved and his head movement improved. But there were moments where you could sense that he's feeling him out because he knows that, everyone was talking about Puliv has power. Do you think that comes from and I don't mean this disrespectfully by any means necessary, but do you feel like it comes from an element of fear from experiencing like a loss the way that he has?
I think so. I think every fighter who's experienced a loss has that little fear of what about if it happens again? And then instead of being the fighter that just goes in there and demolishes and smashes them, you're just a little bit more wary of, what's in front of you and what can happen. Even it doesn't mean that you don't back yourself 100%, but there's always that little, what if this happens again?
Do you think that's what gives Fury even more of an edge going into this because he's been knocked down, but he's never been knocked out?
I think it gives him a little edge, But then again, both guys, the boxing, you have to be mentally strong to even get into the ring. And a lot of people can say, oh, we can go into the ring and have a fight. But, when you get closer to the ring, a lot of corporates or people that experience it are like, man, it's so draining mentally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But these fighters are strong mentally. Any fighter that gets in the ring is strong mentally. You have to have guts to get in there.
There's been a lot of talk as well in regards to comments made that Wilder had made in regards to Mark Breland. Mark Breland just did an interview. I don't know if you saw that with Spencer Fearon and Tunde. I think he said a lot more than we anticipated he would. I think it just sort of came out of him. He was a bit frustrated with the accusations made. Wilder basically came back out and said some more about him. What do you make of the whole situation? I know that Mark Breland mentions that, Wilder doesn't know how to take a loss.
Breland would be a person who's been in the camp for a long time, so he would understand Wilder and know Wilder, probably better than a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, with Wilder, there are the things that he said after a fight. Maybe it was this, but I guess it's just a loss is a loss, And it would have probably been a lot easier just to accept it, come back stronger, and do better. But people's approaches are different. To taking a loss. Some people can accept it, some people can't, and it's just it's quite sad, because they were very tight. They were a great team, and now they're sort of split up. So, yeah,
it's sort of like a long-term relationship. People have been together for so long, and then from the start, really, and then they have a messy falling out. So it's very unfortunate to watch.
It's unfortunate, and hopefully, hopefully both guys go on with their lives and be happy. I mean, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Well, there's talks that Deontay Wilder might be coming back against Charles Martin, the former IBF champion. But then there's also mention that he should fight the winner of Povetkin versus White. Good fight, regardless of who wins. Two-part question: who wins that fight for you? And depending on the winner, who wins the fight against Wilder?
Is this the Povetkin one?
Yes.
I lean towards. I know Povetkin called him with a good shot, but White was leading the fight, and he was doing real well before he got caught. So I see him winning the rematch.
Okay.
And then with the Wilder and White fight, I'm not sure. Probably Wilder's just even though he lost to Fury, a lot of people are saying okay, he's done, he's gone, but he's always got that big right hand.
Yeah.
He always comes in game, and just because he's lost to someone like Fury who's 6'9". He's not even like a normal fighter. Us normal fighters are quite short. It's he's still got a lot to give.
You did not just call yourself short, quite short. What are you, 6'5"?
6'4". There's Joshua, there's Wilder, there's Fury, there's Yoka.
Yeah, but you're still above average.
Huh?
You said we're relatively small. Like you acted like you said it as if you're like 5'8". You're still above average, okay? You're still yourself.
I'm still a bit taller than Ruiz.
Exactly. You know what? I have to applaud you for all the videos that you've done over the period of the lockdown. Do you know what a goal of mine is? A goal of mine would be to be in one of your videos one day.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
They're so cool. It's like being in a mini movie.
We'll get thinking. I mean, all of that was just to have fun. What else are you going to do on the lockdown?
Yeah.
And then it was fun. It took up some time, but also it was good learning, and I give a lot of respect. What I did was tiny compared to what people do in movies and directors and actors and all that. I just was a tiny little piece of experience for me. And it was fun though.
It looks fun. Especially the way your friend does all the graphics and stuff. I'm like, how do you guys do that? That's so cool.
I did it all myself.
No, you didn't.
Nah.
I was like, last time you told me that he was doing the editing.
Nah, my friend he's probably the most talented person I've worked with. And I'm very fortunate to have him. Kerry Russell's the man.
Question for you. Are you into conspiracy theories? Do you believe in like UFOs and just like real?
Not so much.
No.
I know there's a lot of people out there, and probably some of my friends do, and some of my family members, but myself probably not as much.
Ghosts?
Oh yeah, spirits.
Spirits, yeah. You ever experienced one? You have a ghost story?
No ghost stories, but I know a lot of people. In Samoa have had a lot of experiences of spirits and some scary stuff.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Sometimes you never know. You just never know. I like to talk about those things. I think I'm thinking of starting a podcast where I talk about nothing but like these really random things. Because I went like UFO hunting outside of Area 51.
You find one?
Yeah, I'll send you the pictures of what we found, and I have video too. some really weird shit going on over there.
Okay, yeah, please do. Yeah, well, listen, if you can send it to me, you might make me a believer.
Yeah, some really, really weird stuff, and stuff that we caught on film that we didn't even know we caught until we went back and looked at it. And there was like just stuff. So I'm really big on it. So I just like to ask around, because I even found like Joyce, when I did an interview with him, after we started talking about it, he'll send me stuff now. He'll be like, have you seen this yet? So it's nice to kind of feel out who's sort of into that thing or not. Cause I'm
totally into, I full believe in UFOs and everything.
Yeah. But I'll make you a believer. You're always a good guest to have, because there's always like the skeptic, you know, you have to have a skeptic. I've done that before one time with one person. He's a part of the boxing press, total skeptic. Okay. And I showed him some footage I'm at my brother's house right now, and it was literally filmed in the kitchen. And there was some like weird ghost stuff going on that was caught on camera.
You believe it?
And at first he's like, no way. And then I was like, look, here's the footage. Edit it all you want, or look into it all you want. Like, you know, you can change like the contrast and really kind of see if anything's being manipulated or if something's being pulled or whatever. And the very next day he's come back and he goes, yo, that was a real video.
Listen, send that to me. I'd like to see something.
Yeah, I will. I'm just saying, I'm thinking of doing a podcast where I talk about all this stuff. So it'd be nice to know who I can bring on, because not everyone is really into it. They're like, you're weird. I love it though. It's just interesting. It's nice to kind of
mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. Exactly. I was going to ask you, do you have what do you do aside from making your really cool videos? What do you do outside of boxing that sort of keeps you balanced? Because, you know, too much of one thing could just be bad.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters, so I spend a lot of time with them and my wife. Mm-hmm. Also, I like to play instruments, drums, piano, guitar. I like to go fishing, golf. Mm-hmm. I'm not the best at golf. I'm pretty terrible, but it's pretty cool to go out and play. And then just some community. There's a lot of community things we can do here, you know, visiting hospitals and schools and giving out lunches and that. So there's a lot of things that keep me sort of sane when I'm, you know, during training camp.
Do you find that there's added pressure for you, being that, you know, you're like your hometown hero, so that there's, I wouldn't say added pressure, maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, but do you find that there's that when there is, no, I guess added pressure is fine, because then you're considered a role model. So there's like, that is added pressure. Yeah.
Pressure, there's always going to be pressure, you know, with a big fight coming up and all the things that you go through, you know, the training, the media, the appointments, you know, events, there's a lot of pressure. But I think pressure is only something that if you put on yourself, then it's going to be draining. I mean, if you go throughout your training camp and just enjoy everything and accept everything and make the most of it, I mean, pressure is just a little piece of it.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, I saw this this meme, and it said, it doesn't matter how macho or big of a man that you think you are, when you have daughters, when she wants to dress you up and call you a princess, and you're a fucking princess. Do you find that your daughters do that with you? Do they try to like?
Listen, come comb my hair, put a makeup on, and I mean, if it was anyone else trying to do it to me, hell no. But your girls, you know, daddy, comb your hair, do your eyelashes, do this, okay. You know, you look so pretty, daddy, thank you. They
soften you.
They soften you in a good way.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have the best relationship with my daughters, and you know, they're my best friends. So yeah, I'm pretty blessed.
Yeah, that's sweet. I know, I saw that and I was cracking up, and I was like, yeah, I feel like every guy does that when they have a daughter. Like, they don't care. They're not offended at all if they want to dress them up and put makeup on them.
Yeah, makeup, dress them up, you dance like a little girl. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I wish you nothing but the best on February 27th. And let's see what can come after that. It looks like
after that, we'll catch up again, and then we'll look through all the options.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll both lock in a deal.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing what happens next. And again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it very much, as always. And I will send you those pictures You're going to trip out, I swear to you.
Make me a believer.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else